Hi, everybody. It's such a pleasure to be here. I'm appreciating this audience all. It's helpful when audiences are all together and close for the speakers, so I'm just appreciating that. Anyways, so my name is Rachel Lyons. I am the Executive Director of Space for Humanity. And you guys can see it. And what we are working to do is sponsor people from all over the world to go to space, which might sound crazy, you might not understand just yet, but I look forward to sharing that with you. So some of you might remember the Apollo era, or learned about it, when we sent astronauts to the moon. And in the very first mission, we went around the moon, we came back around the other side, and for the very first time ever, this is in the 60s, we saw the Earth as a marble in the sky. So we saw the Earth so small from that perspective that it could be covered with your thumb. Imagine being an astronaut back then and gaining that perspective. This image was plastered across screens all around the world. It was on the cover of newspapers, of magazines, and ultimately it created a much greater shift in society than just this simple image. Many historians actually say that this image sparked the modern environmental movement. And so what is it that makes them say that? Well, within just a few years, the Environmental Protection Agency was founded, Earth Day was founded, a number of the leading organizations in the modern environmental movement were founded, Doctors Without Borders was founded, which that phrase, without borders, did not exist prior to seeing the Earth from this context. And a number of acts specifically around the preservation of our environment were enacted. The Clean Air Act, Clean Water Act, Endangered Species Act. And so why is it? Why is it that this image is said to have caused all of this? It's because this image created a collective paradigm shift, which I think this is something that you are all interested in. And what do I mean by that? What do I mean by a collective paradigm shift? Well, if we look at it from a systems thinking perspective, we look at Earth as the complex system that it is, a complex, interconnected system. All complex systems have leverage points. So this is, I found this research, I basically, getting really interested in this image and how it is said to have sparked the modern environmental movement. I was like, okay, how did this happen? How did this cause this? And I was pointing to the work of Donella Meadows, who's a systems change expert who died in the early 2000s. And she talks about these leverage points where there are places within a system where small shifts lead to greater change. And so she talks about these leverage points in a complex system, and she says that there's 12 of them. And the two most powerful places in a system where small shifts lead to greater change is one, around transcending paradigms, and two, is around recognizing the mindset or the paradigm out of which the system arises. So this is what this image did. It allowed us to transcend the paradigm that we existed in. It allowed us to see that we actually live on an interconnected, floating, fragile planet. And that allowed us to then have all of these shifts in the system afterwards. So this is what we care about here at Space for Humanity. And I'll get into more about what we're doing and who supports us and why. But it's basically about all of the complex challenges that exist on Earth exist from this systemic lens. And so we need to be looking at them from that perspective. We were founded by a man named Dylan Taylor, who's actually local here. He's one of Blue Origin's most newly minted astronauts. So he just went to space a few months ago. And he's one of the most active space investors in the world. And he founded Space for Humanity as the philanthropic arm of his efforts. We have six, this is dated, we now have 6 astronauts on our advisory board supporting these efforts. A lot of really amazing people across the industry and outside of it. And we recently got support from Richard Branson. I don't know if everyone here knows, but Richard Branson went to space just a few months ago. And he came back down and he announced an initiative where anyone from anywhere in the world could pay $10 to enter to go to space with them. And Space for Humanity, my organization, was the beneficiary. We randomly selected a woman from Antigua to go, and she's going to be bringing her 17-year-old daughter on their next flight. They'll be the first people from the Caribbean to go to space, which is super awesome. Yeah, thank you. And then just when we thought life couldn't get any better, we got a $1 million gift from Blue Origin's Club for the Future, their granting organization. So it's been a fun ride over the past year. And what we care about, what inspires us, is this thing called the overview effect. And what the overview effect is, the definition is it's the cognitive shift in awareness that happens to astronauts when astronauts go to space and they look back and they see our planet. They see this reality of our existence, as I was saying before. Astronauts come back down changed people. A lot of times they come back down humanitarians and environmentalists, and with a completely new view on what's possible for our future. I can name some of the astronauts, but Anousheh Ansari, the first Iranian woman to go to space. She came back and she's now the CEO of X Prize Foundation, which is working to create moonshot solutions to all of our greatest challenges. Astronaut Scott Parazynski, he came back and he started an initiative specifically to get political leaders into space because he saw how important this perspective is for our leadership. And we're working with researchers as well that are studying the psychological impacts of this experience, of this paradigm-shifting experience, and how it can even impact a person's well-being and their sense of purpose, and just them as a human being in general. And as I was mentioning before, we have now entered this new era in space exploration. So as of this past year, Virgin Galactic has had their first fully crewed mission. Blue Origin has sent multiple crews to space. This is all this year, by the way. Space Perspective, which is a stratospheric balloon company, they're going to be sending people to the edge of space in 2024. And we've actually had more people minted as astronauts in the past year than in any other year prior in human history. And so what we're working to do as Space for Humanity, which I think the overlaps between the blockchain community and Space for Humanity is just the future that we're working to create together, this new paradigm that we're working to enter. And what we're working to do is sponsor people from all over the world to go to space, to have this paradigm-shifting experience of the overview effect, and then come back down and be like seeds, sharing that perspective far and wide. And from a systems change perspective, that is the number one way to create greater change in the world, is by transcending paradigms. And so it's not just about sending singular people to space, it's about the collective impacts that they will create when they return. And I'm just thinking about how much more I want to share. So I'll just briefly name it. What drives us is perspective. It's shifting perspective, it's transcending paradigms, it's thinking bigger, it's looking at the world, looking at this reality of our existence for the truth that it is, and letting that impact the way that we behave. 2 is leadership. We believe that all sorts of leaders, not just the CEOs and the presidents, but anyone who's a leader, and anyone who's a human, honestly, needs to understand this, and needs to go and let this inform the way that they lead as well. And then 3 is collaboration. We cannot do this without collaboration. We are not spaceflight providers. We're not making the technology. We're doing this with collaboration across the industry as well as outside of it. So if anyone here is interested also in collaborating with this mission, please come talk to me. Yeah. And so, yeah, I would say that's like the whole of the mission, and right now we're working to bring this perspective in a lot of different ways via our educational initiatives as well. And we're really interested in integrating with more communities, with people outside of the industry, with the blockchain and crypto world as well. And I've been really amazed at how this mission has been received by the crypto community. Like, of all the communities that I talk to and that I work with, I would say that for the most part, you all have been the most receptive and excited about this mission. And I think that there's something about the world that we're all working to bring and build together that there's a lot of overlaps. So if this mission is something interesting to you, I would be happy to chat and see ways that we can work together. And with that, I think I've shared it all. Yeah. Thank you. And I do think I was quicker than time, so if anyone has any questions, it's possible that I missed some. Actually, no, I got one more thing for you. So we take applications on our website. We're basically a fellowship program. So you apply. We're looking for people that are leaders in their communities. We're going to select our first crew this year. We're right now talking to all the flight providers about who that's going to be with. We have flights reserved with Space Perspective, the stratospheric balloon company. We have flights reserved with Worldview, which is another stratospheric balloon company. And we're also talking to both Virgin Galactic and Blue Origin right now about getting flights reserved with them soon. So you apply on our website. We select you. We help prepare your mind for this experience, because like any transformative experience, you can't just go in and like hope that it's great. You know, you've got to prepare your mind so that you're open to it and you're ready for it. And then we help people in integrating it. So we'll help them when they come back down really just make sense of this and use it as a way that's like applicable to their life. And then we support people in the social impact portion of this. So creating the impact when they return. And what I want all of you to know before I leave today is that we're actually closing our applications on Tuesday. Just so happens that I'm speaking here, you know, a couple days prior. So if this mission is something that's interesting to you, if being involved with this community is something that inspires you, I invite you to apply. spaceforhumanity.org/apply. Thank you.